All right, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. We're joined by driver the number 22, AAA, Shell, Pennzoil, Ford Mustang, Dark Horse for Team Penske, aka Michael Foley for this call today. Joey Logano coming up on his 600th start, probably getting ready to fly out to the ESPYs tomorrow night in Los Angeles. Just another average week for Joey Logano, huh?
I've never been to the ESPY, so probably a little different than average, but looking forward to it for sure. Iconic weekend, as you said, being able to hit that 600 start, that's a pretty special one as well. So busy week for sure, a short one because we'll be traveling a lot, but it's been good.
All right, we got it lined up for you. So again, one question per person. We'll kick it off with Rob Thompson since he was first. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Nan, and thank you for joining us today, Joey. Joey, congratulations on your milestone. As you prepare for your 600 NASCAR Cup Series start at Dover, when you reflect on this journey from winning the Daytona 500 in 2015 to earning the three titles in the Cup Series, how do you process the emotional weight of reaching this milestone while you continue to be this perennial contender for victories in the title?
Yeah, I guess in two different ways. First glance, I say, well, they're just starts. But then when you think about it, to be able to be around in a sport as an athlete, competing at a top level for 16 plus years, and hitting 600 starts, that's pretty incredible, right? To have a career that long. So it's something that I take some pride in. I'm proud of that to be able to hit this marker. It's a lot of starts. I remember my 300 start, and there was, I think it was Kenseth at the time. Maybe it was Truex as well that weren't too far from 600. And I thought, geez, that's double the amount of races as me. That is crazy. Here I am. So it went by pretty quick, I guess. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride. The sport's been awesome to me and my family, and proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Joey. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Let's move over to Greg Engel. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Michael. Joey. Hey, good luck on the ESPYs this weekend, man. 600 starts, man. That boggles my mind because I can remember back in 2019, your first full cup season, you were a teenager, man. The second Dover race, you went airborne, and let's be honest, none of us forgets that flip. 16 years
Oh,
later,
man.
16 years later, man, 600 starts, you come back to Dover, not just as a three-time champion, but as a father, a husband with fabulous hair, thanks to Hair Club. What's changed most about how you see yourself, not just as a driver, but as a brand?
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in front of everybody, right? I mean, all of us, change over the years as you grow up, right? Life comes at you, you evolve, and you keep going with it. And everybody, when you were 18 years old to 35 years old, some of the biggest changes in your life happen in that period of time. Right? And to your point, getting married, having kids, that's the biggest change you can ever have in your life, I think. But that is, I did all this in front of everybody. Everyone went for the ride with me in ways, right? And not to mention the lessons learned on the racetrack and how I've changed as a race car driver too. Over that period of time where, I was a young, cocky kid coming in to, getting my humble pie and learning how to become a champion and learning a lot of lessons in front of everybody. And so it's kind of neat that race fans have been around that long and they see the evolution, if you will, of myself. And it's like I said, it's kind of interesting to publicly grow up in front of people, right? But it's part of what sports are and being in the limelight. But it's been a heck of a ride for sure.
Thanks, pal. Have fun this weekend. Hopefully I'll
Yep.
get another question in, but
Thanks.
We'll get you. We'll get you. Go ahead. Let's go to Jordan Bianchi first. Go ahead, Jordan.
Joey, appreciate the time this morning. You're 35 years old. You've not mentioned the R word by any means or anything, but you are kind of at that age when drivers maybe start to creep into it a little bit about thinking about it. Have you given it any thought to how long you want to continue to do this for?
I always say as long as I can win. right? I mean, I really feel like that's kind of the standard for me. I love racing, but I really love winning. A lot more. And if I want to, I can go race other things and win. I'm probably gonna do that. But my dream's always to be a NASCAR driver, be a NASCAR champion, and if I can win and be a help to my team, then I want to stick around. As soon as I feel like I'm a drag on the team and I'm not bringing anything to the table anymore, whether that's on the racetrack or off the racetrack, that's when I need to get out of the way. Right? Because at that point, I want to see Roger Penske and his race team and the people that are there be successful. I care about them a lot. And so I want to be a way to contribute to that. That's what I want out of myself. That's what I would expect if I was Roger Penske, I would expect that out of an employee, especially that's been there for as long as I've been there. So, for me, that to me is going to be the deciding factor when that is. I don't want to stick around and go be one of those guys that was like, oh, man, he was just went a few years too long. Like you don't want to be that guy. So I think whenever that happens, that happens. I don't know when that is, right? I mean, I would be an idiot to think that you can be competing at the top level at into your 50s, right? Like what athlete's ever done that, right? Something changes at some point. But right now, I still feel as fresh as ever. I feel as sharp as ever. I'm driven as much as ever. Right? I mean, I still care, right? I still get emotional about things. That shows me that I care a lot. So, with those factors still there, where the end is, I don't know yet. I don't know.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Let's go to Lewis Frank. Hello, Lewis. Lewis going to be able to
Good
unmute
morning.
himself.
Thanks for
There we
being
go.
here, Joey.
Hey,
You have won just about every kind of prize in NASCAR, championships, Daytona 500, but you haven't won the Brickyard 400 yet. What would that mean to you and your family if you brought them to Indianapolis in 2 weeks?
yeah, that's the one that definitely stands out to me. That is the number one race on the list to want to win. Just because it's Indy, right? The history, how iconic that speedway is. The dream of kissing the bricks is a real dream, right? That's the real thing for me. I would love to be, in that position someday, and been close many times. Uh, Obviously, Roger Penske now owning the racetrack and being my boss adds more to it, but it was there before that, right? Like that racetrack holds enough prestige then that it doesn't matter who you are and who you drive for. You want to win that race, and you want to go in the history books as a Indianapolis winner in anything. So yeah, that one would be special. I was up there a few weeks ago and got to go through the museum. By the way, sidebar here. If anyone's going to Indy, make some time to go through the museum that's been renovated. It is absolutely incredible. It's the best motorsports museum I've ever seen. It is done to the T, just the way you would think Roger Penske does things. It is spectacular. So if you're there, do that. You won't regret it. But yeah, winning there would be even better than that.
All right, very good. Let's go to Deb Williams. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, Joy. Thank you for your time. I want to expand on Greg Ingles' question a little bit. This morning on the morning drive, and you were talking about how you react differently now when you get out of a car than say when you were younger, which of course comes to maturity. But having children, how has that changed you as a driver and your approach?
It hasn't much. Um, it hasn't changed really much at the racetrack for me. It's changed everything for me at home. It's changed why I do things a lot. Right? I'm not doing it for myself as much as I'm doing it for my family now. So that piece has changed a lot. I think what happens at the racetrack is a different category to me, and I just compartmentalize a lot of things, and racing is in its own own department in my life, and it's separate from my family. All right, like it's just, and I really want it to be separate. I keep it that way. But I don't think the choices made on the racetrack or off the racetrack would be any different. Because I have kids now, like it's the same. The same mentality really that I've always had. I just feel like it's more refined, if you will, on how to handle every scenario, because it's a been there, done that moment more times than not now, right? Like anytime something comes up, it's like, yep, been here. I know how not to handle it. Maybe let's try something different this time, like, it's just the same as everybody. Everybody's, as you do things more often, you're gonna evolve and get better at it.
Thank you. Good luck at the ESPYs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Let's go over to Scotty Powell. Hello, Scotty.
Hey, Joey. Thanks for joining us. I also listened to the morning drive this morning. You were talking about, several years ago, you could count on maybe 10, 12 cars that would be in competition for a win. As we go into this next gen era and we head to a place like Indianapolis, where you said, you got 25 cars with the right strategy that could win, how important is it for you and the crew chief to get together leading into next weekend to make sure you have the right strategy calls to potentially, kiss the bricks as you said you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously strategies that you talk about going into the weekend, but even more so after practice, you kind of see what you got, right? Like, you got winning speed, you have so speed, where are we at, and how do we fabricate a victory somehow, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. There's none better than Paul Wolf at doing it, and he's got a great team behind him, feeding him really good information to where we can make good choices. I'm part of those conversations with him. I put in my 2 cents on where I think I can pull a strategy off or I can't. But those are kind of the conversations that we have, and we try to make decisions together.
All right,
Thank you,
Joey.
Joey. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I've waited as long as I can, Joey, but we're going to go to Bob now. Okay, it's Bob Pockers.
Thanks. I'm curious, Joey, if you saw the video of the Ty Gibbs coming into his pit stall and clipping the tire that the tire carrier was holding. I'm curious, what is kind of how do you handle what responsibility is versus maybe what etiquette and gamesmanship and if somebody's taking a little too much room, like how do you handle all that, and what should a driver do in those situations in your view?
Well, in my opinion, when you're driving a race car, you have a lot of power, and you have a lot of responsibility that you have in your hands, right? You're driving a huge machine, super fast, and it's in close quarters, right? And you can do a lot, right? You're in a different world than when you are driving your street car, right? The rules are kind of out the window when you get on the racetrack, for the most part. There's some, right? But compared to what you have on the road and things you can and can't do, a race car, you go as fast as you want to go. You can do a lot of different things. So you have a lot of power there. But you have a lot of responsibility on how you handle situations. With that said, you said it, there's a lot of gamesmanship and how do things work. I personally, I can only talk from my personal experiences. You don't want to put someone in danger of hurting them. With that said, guilty, been there. We've all made mistakes, right? Like we've all done maybe the wrong thing at times. But I think when you look at these pit crew guys, not only is it their life, it's their livelihood on top of that, right? It's how they make money for their family, and the last thing you want to do is hurt one of them. Right? I never want to hurt somebody on pit road. At the same time, the pit crew members also, and I'm not saying this scenario, I'm talking just any scenario. Pit crew members also have a responsibility to not be jumping out there too far and playing the game of trying to brush your car back. that's not okay either. So there's got to be, like, everyone's got to work together a little bit on pit road, especially when it's tight scenarios like that. So I can't speak on Ty's situation that much. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if he meant to brush him back and do that. In this case, I didn't really see that the crew member was out there in the middle of pit road. It like put himself in a bad spot. Just kind of maybe a tricky way of looking at it. I wasn't in the middle of it, so I can't answer it. But I do know that it's a bit of a knife to a gunfight for those pit crew members when you're looking at a car coming at you versus you're sitting there with 2 tires in your hand or an air gun or a jack. It can go bad real quick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Let's go to Samuel Stubbs. Go ahead, Samuel.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Joy, for being with us today. Everybody's talked about that flip at Dover you had in the middle of your rookie year, and when you look back 16 years later, when you're in the middle of that flip, in the middle of your rookie season, did you think 16 years later you'd be sitting here as a Daytona 500 winner, a 3-time champ, future Hall of Famer, and now somebody making his 600th start at, ironically, the place where your earliest career low light, I guess, happened?
Well, to answer your question, in the middle of that wreck, I was just hoping it stopped and I wasn't going to be hurt. I was going to live another day. I was really, because it was the longest, to this day, is the longest crash I've ever been a part of. It just kept going and going and going and going. I mean, I guess I've always had high expectations for myself. I've always, expected to win championships and win races. And to be honest with you, I have not met my expectations. And so I've always felt like I haven't done enough or done good enough. At the same time, it's probably what makes me great is because I always have the feeling that I'm not enough, right? Like, and I haven't done enough yet, and I haven't prepared enough, I haven't won enough, I haven't done anything enough yet. And I think that's probably a good thing. It's not the most enjoyable experience when you think that way, right? But it's that lack of complacency that I think has led to some success. So that's just, am I proud of what we've accomplished? Absolutely. I just really felt like there would have been more because that's what I expect of myself.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Now let's go to Kyle Dalton. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, Joey, thanks for your time today. So, a couple weeks ago, you had the run-in with Ross, and over 600 starts, you're going to have run-ins with different drivers. And rivalries are obviously a big part of the sport. So I'm just curious from your perspective, looking at other guys have rivalries, how do you view that? Do you view it as exciting? And when you look back on your career, other people will define what are the biggest rivalries for you, Kenseth, Kyle Busch. What do you view as the biggest rivalry in these 600 career starts?
I don't know. I guess I don't put that much thought into it, to be honest with you. Your rivalries are great for sports. There's no doubt about that. People love them. It draws a lot of attention. It's not a bad thing. There's 2 different kinds of rivalries, right? There's a rivalry where everyone's wrecking each other, right? There's that kind, which aren't the healthy kind. And then there's the rivalries that are just, win for win, kind of going back and forth, where, you get 2 of the best going back and forth on just wins. I think those are the best kind of rivalries, right? Those are the more fun ones to be a part of, right? When you get 2 just dogs going back and forth at each other, that's, trading wins. Those are the best kind. Trading punches, yeah. Like those ones, are fun for a moment. But I don't think that's really the best thing about our sport in general. Or just any sport. Like, I don't care about seeing that too much. It's just drama right at that point. But I like seeing the competition rivalries the most. And who those are with, man, I mean, I feel like it's flowed and changed over the years so much on who that is, and every year it seems like it could be someone different, right? That's maybe that top shot, hot shot guy.
Thanks. Good luck at the ESPYs.
Thanks.
Apologies, we're coming up on time, but Joe, I want to get into this last question that came in the chat, and it talks about just kind of drivers and brands. You've kind of gone through the gamut from a young driver to now. How much do drivers need to be CEOs of their own brands? Maybe where years or decades ago that wasn't necessarily the case. How much of a role do you play in that?
I think years and decades ago, drivers did think of it, and because it's such a part of our sport. Our sponsors are looking at the driver more than anything else, right? Like, what is the biggest selling point to the sponsor, right? I mean, some of it's the team, yes, but it's the driver, a lot of it. So you have to think of, what is your brand, and the plays that you make to grow that. But the number one most important thing, I believe, is being authentic to your brand, right? Be who you are, right? Like, when someone's being fake, it's so obvious. Everyone on this call, who those people are. You can pick them out. It's so easy, right? Like, when someone's not being who they are. Being yourself is the most important thing. And for me, I recognized what those maybe key things are of what the Joey Logano brand is, right? Hard racer, wins as much as you can, right? And going to work hard to do that. And I love cars. I'm a car guy, right? Like, it's that simple, right? And I'm a family man. Like those are the things that makes Joey Logano who he is, right? All of us have a brand, right? Everybody on this call, your brand is your personality. That's who you are, right? And you want to protect that, no matter what you're doing.
And you do a lot of good for a lot of kids, Joey. So on behalf of those folks, appreciate all your efforts with the foundation and all that. Apologies to those on the call we weren't able to get to. If you want to shoot me that question, maybe this weekend at Dover, I'm happy to get with Joey and answer those for you, since we didn't get to them all today. But Joey, safe travels out to Los Angeles and over to Dover. We'll see you this weekend. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks.